You ask mailbag questions, I'm answering them. Jaylen Brown throwing shade at Jayson Tatum, how Mike Gorman is doing, and gifts for all the Boston Celtics right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Rain and J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcasts when they play on the weekend. This time around, not many bonus podcasts. They barely play. After playing 6 games in 9 nights, they have one game this upcoming week. They play Thursday, and they don't play again until Sunday. So this upcoming week is a nice, chill, relaxing week. But I'm still here for you 5 days with podcasts. So you're going to still get a ton of Celtics content. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Watch that show on YouTube and get into the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking about what I say about the team. I'm John Karalis. I've been covering this team for 20 years or so, doing it right now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal and as the author of Built Different. Buy it right now. They're actually going pretty fast. There's a ton of orders here coming in. I'm going to send out a big shipment on Monday in time here for the holidays. So make sure you're at johnkaralis.com. I will personalize it. I will sign it. I will send it out to you in the United States for $30. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can make every moment more at FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's a mailbag day, and I'm going to answer a ton of questions at the mailbag. You can get those questions in at johnkaralis.com/mailbag. That's johnkaralis.com/mailbag to answer your questions. Later on, we'll answer about my theme song, the Elam ending, which I'm pro Elam ending. So that's a preview of that one. Tatum at center, Payton Pritchard, all that stuff. The stuff I talk about in the cold open. But let's get right into the first question here from Jonathan, who said, when Jalen talked about how he wanted to get things going faster in a couple of similar comments, was he throwing a little shade at Jayson? Kind of sounded like it. I don't know. Maybe a tiny bit because he does want to play faster. It's his style of play. I don't think it's shade. I don't think Jason's the only one who slows things down. I think there's some, play calling sometimes. I think there's some, there are others on the team that might slow things down a little bit. Jalen wants to get up and down the floor. He wants to play fast. He's also guilty of slowing things down every once in a while himself. So I don't know if it's necessarily shade, because shade implies negativity. And I think it's just more of if you understand the difference here, I think most people do, a critique versus negativity. Like I can look at my teammate and be like, come on, let's play faster. Let's go. And I'm not throwing shade at him. I'm just saying, let's go. And we can tell each other things that we're doing, and we should be able to. I've done that with teammates in the past. I feel like anybody who's played organized basketball is on a team with guys that you work with these guys a lot, and you go through a lot. It's like telling a family member, it's like telling your brother, hey, can we come on, snap this up a little bit? It's not shade. It's just, I want to do this. The situation calls for this. And Sometimes, well received, maybe not well received. I don't know. That's up to them. But I'm not going to characterize it as that necessarily. Ben asks, are you happy with the Celtics' late game decision making? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I do think that the Celtics fall into some ISO habits. Sure. I mean, I'm not the only one. Obviously, we all think that. I do think the late game style can be along the lines of what I was just saying, can be a little too slow, can be a little too ISO heavy. I think the Celtics do fall into a little bit of this is how we're supposed to play in the fourth quarter. And if I have a criticism, maybe this is a Joe Mazzulla thing that Joe needs to look at these last few minutes of a game and maybe flip it on its head. Joe is very good at looking at situations and saying, this is what they need. I get it when it's the fourth quarter and it's a tight game. You're up 5, you're down 5, whatever. Every game, every NBA game naturally slows down with a few exceptions depending on the team. But by and large, fourth quarter situations, late fourth quarter, possessions across the board go down. Teams are afraid of turnovers. You're afraid that, in the first, second quarter, when there's a whole, half left, you can overcome a turnover here or there. In the fourth quarter, last 5 minutes, those situations, like they're unforgiving. That's why they slow down. Because if you turn the ball over with 4:45 on the clock, you only have a few possessions left to make up for that versus 40 possessions left. You might only have 5 or 6 in that last few minutes, depending on the other team slowing it down. So it's each possession matters more. So I'm not going to kill the Celtics for slowing it down. I've said this a million times. I feel like the best thing the Celtics can do is integrate more off-ball movement, more options. It's not that I want the Celtics to drive and kick and swing and all of that stuff and open themselves up to turnovers, but I would like at least, so if you're going to set one pick, have the other guys on the side doing something. If you're setting a high pick and roll for Tatum to go to his left, then have something on the right side happening where guys can't come over and help clog the lane, because that's just that brings more people into the play. You want to create a little bit more space on that right side, because if you're setting the pick for Tatum to go left, Porzingis is streaking down the middle or popping. You want to make sure that at least if that pass is there, you're taking away someone who could maybe steal that pass, or another person who can help get in front of Porzingis or whomever is setting that pick. So I want to see more off-ball stuff late game. And then from there, the decision-making, I think, becomes a little bit better, because I think when people say decision-making, I think that's code for, are you happy with late game isolation? I think there could be better late game offense. So I'll just leave it at that. We'll wrap up this segment with Adam. Can you help me understand why when the Celtics choose to play drop versus switching defense, do they always play drop with Kristaps Porzingis? Does this factor into choosing to play Kata versus Luke versus Al? Is it matchup specific? Has one been more effective than another? So drop coverage is when the other team sets a pick. Kristaps Porzingis drops back down. He literally backpedals into the paint. The guard is supposed to chase over the top of the screen to force the ball handler. So Damian Lillard is getting a pick from Brook Lopez, and he's being guarded by Derek White and Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis drops into the lane. Derek White goes over the top of the screen. It's supposed to force Damian Lillard into the mid-range. You do that versus switching based on personnel and time and score. Late game situations, you're switching everything in the last few minutes. Drop coverage, more of a early game type of thing where you're trying to, if you're going against a team that likes to shoot the three and is not really as much of a threat to get into the paint, you're hoping that, or I'm saying not as much of a threat to pop out for three. You're hoping to draw the ball handler more into the paint so he can take 15, 17, 19 footers that are, somewhat contested versus pick and pop threes or getting all the way for alley-oops. You don't want to open yourself up. So the drop coverage is something that is meant to entice the less efficient shot. You do that in a time where you're hoping your offense is generating more points per possession, and you're trying to get the other team to bite on a defense. You're looking to give a certain thing up, and it's not a three-pointer, and you're not looking to get anything at the rim. You're trying to give up the most inefficient shot there. That's the whole goal, and it's not always easy, and sometimes if you're not careful, you can get some guy comfortable as he steps into open mid-range shots, and then later he goes out to three and starts hitting it. So it's definitely a personnel thing. Who are you matched up against? What are their skills? What are their weaknesses? What are their strengths? There's the who do you have healthy? And like Kata can switch. Luke doesn't switch as much. You can play a little bit more drop with Luke, maybe a little more drop with Kata. Anyway, that's the situation. That's what it is. It's more matchups and effectiveness, one more than the other. It's again situational. It's effective in certain situations. It's not in others. When it's not effective, it's generally because the Celtics are not doing it. They're not executing the defense. Maybe they're dropping too far. Maybe they're not chasing over the top of the screen as effectively. Maybe they're a little slow there. Maybe they're just sticking to screens. So one is not more effective than the other than late game situations where you want to switch everything to prevent the mess up of the, I didn't chase over the screen. You tend to leave guys a little bit more open. Switching is just more about keeping guys from the paint and challenging shots, and you deal with the mismatches as they come. All right, Payton Pritchard stuff when we come back. Jayson Tatum at the 5. Tatum and Brown missing layups. All of that is coming up in this mailbag episode of Locked On Celtics. Today's show is brought to you by Mint Mobile. You can say bye-bye to overpriced wireless plans and their jaw-dropping monthly bills and unexpected overages. Because with Mint Mobile, you never have to worry about gotchas. Big wireless providers, they never are what you see is what you get. So they're full of gotchas. And Mint Mobile, they are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. When they say it, they mean it. They're here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. They all come with high-speed data. They're all unlimited talk and text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. You'll see it at the bottom of the screen here on YouTube. mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower than 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan, above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out our newsletter. It's at lockedondaily.com. Free daily, Monday through Friday newsletter. You got a Celtics article, you got a national NBA article, you got a fantasy article, all delivered, plus links to some of the best Celtics content out there. It's all there on lockedondaily.com. Go there, sign up, get it delivered directly to your inbox. All right, let's get back to the mailbag. And the first question from Brandon here: Payton Pritchard for Sixth Man of the Year is almost a lock. Do you think he should be in the more conversation for most improved? Yeah, I mean, he could be in that conversation. I don't know if he's going to get it. He's improved a lot for sure. I think right now a lot of people are talking about he's shooting better. That's the biggest thing. He is improved. He is getting to the rim. He is doing things. Is he most improved? I don't have to look at who the other candidates are. Haven't really thought about that much, to be honest with you. He will be in the conversation because he's a guy that had been, maybe not playing some games last year, and now he's a key to the Celtics and getting 20 points here and there. So yes, he will get a conversation in more improved, but I don't know if he's going to win both awards. But I think Sixth Man of the Year. Is it a lock? I hesitate to say any award's a lock in early December, but he is starting to put some distance between him and everybody else. Keegan asks, with Pritchard on a breakout year and having the potential conversation for All-Star, do you worry about the Celtics being able to retain him next season? Remember that Keegan, the Celtics locked him up. He is under contract, so there's no fear here. This is what I was talking about the other day with Brad Stevens taking all of that stuff out of the equation. Payton Pritchard is under contract for the next few years. Everybody's under contract for at least one more year after this one, and Pritchard's locked up for a few. And that makes him a very valuable player here because he could be a key to the Celtics moving forward. And I don't want to get too deep into Celtics post, 2025 roster changes. Let's just say that there is the potential for Payton Pritchard to be a very important piece to the Celtics after this season, even more so than he is now, and a potential starter moving on down the road. And that's something that's not out of the question. Ryan says, I'd love to hear your take on the value of Tatum guarding the 5. I feel like he enables small ball lineups, which makes Celtics lethal offensively, but it's an unsung grinder role of collecting rebounds, and he doesn't get that credit. Would Cat do that? So I love the theoretical idea of Tatum at the 5. The problem is that he's not always great at it. And it obviously depends on the 5. I don't want Tatum expending that much energy banging with a Brook Lopez. And this is where like the coaching comes into play here. If you're an opposing coach, if the Celtics go Tatum at the 5, and I'm a coach that has somebody with some size on the floor, I look at the potential trade-off. Is it worth sending Brook Lopez out there? Let's just pretend that Brook Lopez is not on the floor in this scenario. Is it worth sending Brook out there just to get some post-ups against Tatum? So Tatum is banging. Now, Tatum's a big dude, right? He's 6'9", big, solid guy. He's not small. But these other guys are bigger than him. Would I, as an opposing coach, say, hey, let's run 2-3 post-ups to Brook and just hit Tatum a few times. Just go hit him. I know that takes us out of our offense, which is what the Celtics want, but also it adds some wear and tear to Tatum, which is what the Celtics don't want. So I see value in Tatum at the 5, and I think offensively Tatum at the 5 can really, really be impossible to handle But the Celtics are already pretty impossible to handle with Horford or Porzingis at the 5. But if you want to go small and you want to run and the other team is throwing a small ball lineup out there and you can throw Tatum out without putting him in physical demands and basically guarding a wing anyway, then you can run a Tatum-led lineup at Tatum at the 5 lineup very easily. It's just more matchup specific. So it's not something the Celtics go to a lot, but the fact that it's an option is something the Celtics can dip into from time to time. And situationally, I think it can be very, very effective. Michelle says, it seems to me that Brown and Tatum miss a lot of layups, especially Tatum. Any thoughts or comments? A lot of these are challenged. He shoots a lot of tough layups. And I think he's trying to go in and draw fouls. So sometimes he's missing because he's trying to initiate some contact and attack and get a few foul calls so he can get to the line. On certain nights he can get to the line 12, 13, 14 times. Very effective for Tatum to do that. Jaylen Brown the same way. Jalen's a very downhill player. He loves to attack. So I do think that there are times where they smoke a few bunnies here or there. Absolutely. I think a lot of their misses are tough takes. So, and I don't actually have the numbers. I probably should have had the numbers there. It's my bad there. But they're easy to find. I don't think it's an epidemic. I'm not looking at them saying, oh my God, they're missing a lot of layups this year. I think they're taking a lot of tough ones. And honestly, the Celtics pass out of those a ton. They're very good. I think this year, if anything, they pass out of challenged rim attempts a lot. So that's it. The challenged ones are difficult to make. All right, we're going to come back with a question about the Pistons, a question about how Mike Gorman is doing, the Elam ending, the theme song. It's all coming up next here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Get into that NFL action, that NBA action at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're a new customer, sign up right now at FanDuel.com. Make a little quick deposit. Take $5 and bet it on something good. You win, you get $150 in bonus bets. So even if it's something obvious and the odds aren't great, just make the bet and win so you can get your $150 in bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets. You can get them all in one place. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out stats, play-by-play, a ton more stuff there at the same page where you place your bets. So just go to FanDuel.com today to sign up. When you sign up, make sure you're using the tools that they have available so you can set your limits, set your budget, and gamble responsibly. It's cool to have like a few bucks on the game and enjoy it with a little extra skin in the game. Maybe you want to bet on the Kansas City Chiefs somehow pulling out. If the Chiefs are ever underdogs live in the middle of the game, take it because they just keep winning these stupid close games. So, but gamble responsibly while you're doing that. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins at FanDuel. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Locked On NBA has got you covered across the league with Locked On NBA Game Night and the regular Locked On NBA podcast. 2 podcasts on the Locked On NBA feed, one covering all the games, one covering all the big topics, debate show style on the Locked On NBA feed. I'm one of the Locked On NBA hosts, although the Celtics play the next couple of Thursdays, so I'm going to be taking a couple of weeks off from that, but you should still go check it out. Make it your second listen after Locked On Celtics. Andrew, let's rapid fire this sucker so we can wrap up this mailbag podcast. Again, johnkaralis.com/mailbag to get your questions in. A lot of mailbag questions. Maybe this week, maybe I'll get a bonus mailbag episode so I can get to some of these other questions. But johnkaralis.com/mailbag to get your questions in. Andrew says, despite Jalen taking shots at them in the preseason, the Pistons might make the play-in this year. But will their young core ever be good enough to challenge the Celtics in a playoff series? Ever? Well, I mean, I don't want to say never, because you don't know how these guys are going to improve 2 years from now and where the Celtics are going to be 2 years from now. This Celtics team with Jalen and Jayson and Derek White and Drew Holiday, all those guys, no. In 2 years, depending on who's still here with the Celtics and depending on how that core develops in Detroit and depending on what kind of moves they make, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Of course it's possible. Year to year, you have no idea year to year. And sometimes we forget how young these guys are when they come in and how long it takes for young players to develop. The Celtics just had Jayson Tatum win a championship. It took him 7 years to win a championship. It takes a while. And when you're the Pistons and you haven't been making the best decisions in the world, it just expands that how long it takes. So I feel like the Pistons have some good talent. They just got to make sure they maximize that talent, make the right moves around them. You don't know what next year is going to bring, and you don't know what 2 years from now is going to bring. So will they ever be good enough? Solid maybe on that one. Just simply because we don't know. But I think their talent is good enough to give them a chance. Chris asks, hey, I was just wondering if you've seen Mike Gorman at any games. Curious how he's doing. Yes, I just saw him before the Milwaukee Bucks game. I happened to be walking across the court after the game, and he was chatting up Mike Breen. It was kind of funny because I walked by and I see them and I was like, I have to get my sunglasses on for all of this aura going on over here. Like it's very difficult to be in the presence of two Hall of Famers. But Mike, we said hi, we did a quick brief hello, and seems to be doing well. They show him at the Jumbotron at games. He goes to games. So if you're at a game, you might see him. They'll show him on the Jumbotron and always gets a big pop from the crowd. Ryan asks, and I met Ryan at a game recently. So hi, Ryan. That was nice to meet you. He said, I just read about the Elam ending format. And the C's Cavs game seemed like a very compelling example for the implementation of this method. I understand a version of this is how games is in OT are played in the G League. What are your thoughts on the Elam ending? Look, I know that this is not popular. I love it. I love the idea of an Elam ending. It's not typical. I know things change, and the idea of a 48-minute game maybe not going 48 minutes is a little off-putting for people. There are questions about records, but overtimes exist. But if a guy is chasing a record and the game ends in 46 minutes and 30 seconds, he doesn't get a minute and a half to go chase something that might have been a record, or just it's a close game. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something there that prevents a player from getting to a certain milestone. And that's legit. Look, as I'm appreciative of NBA history, I do think that there's something to that. I don't want to outright dismiss it. But boy, that C's Cavs game was an absolute example of, you foul up three and blah, blah, blah. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's not what the game was. It was smart. It was smart, and smart for the Cavs to foul up three to not give the Celtics a chance, and smart for the Celtics to continue to foul, trying to get the Cavs to miss free throws so they can get into a situation where a three-pointer wins the game rather than ties the game, or you can tie the game with a 2 instead of a 3. So those, I understand the strategy, but from a fan perspective, difficult. Elam ending, for people who don't know, I should have explained it. With a few minutes to go, whatever the NBA would, let's pretend they implement it. 3 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, based on the score, they calculate a final score that needs to be reached. So if it's 100-95 with 5 minutes to go, or let's say 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go, it's 100-95. They might say the first team to 110 wins the game. And if in the next minute, the Celtics come down, go 3-3-3, 4-point play, hit the free throw, and score 10 points in a minute, game's over. And that's it. Or what they would do is shut off the clock, and they would just first team to one. Say it could go 50 minutes, could go theoretically 60 minutes. Indefinite if teams just stop hitting shots. I like the Elam ending. I think it's you always get a buzzer, not a buzzer beater. You always get a game winning shot. There's free throws, but like there's excitement. If the final score is 110 and it's 108 and you've got the ball and the other team's at 106, you come down, that next shot, like the whole crowd is going to be up on their feet. They're looking for it. Every shot that goes up is the potential game-winning shot. So it does add excitement, and it takes away that foul up three because you're not worried about them coming back like that, because if you foul them, they're just adding points. You don't want them to add any points. So it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen, but I love the idea. Also, I said rapid fire. I am not very good at rapid fire. Michael P. says, in the spirit of the holiday season, what would you get? What new skill, either real or humorous, would you get every Celtics player or coach? If not an actual gift, if not an actual skill, what gift would you give for them? So Mike says, I would gift Joe Mazzulla either a walk-on role on the sequel to The Town or a pet killer whale. I mean, that would be amazing. But I don't think Joe would want one pet killer whale because he knows that they hunt best together as a pack. So either you get him a pack of killer whales and a patch of ocean in which they can hunt, or he'll just have to settle for the movie role. I like it. I would get Joe Mazzulla an actual UFC fight. Like, I would get him to participate in an actual UFC fight. He has said that he wants to get knocked out. He said that he's willing to get choked out. Well, buddy, let's see you do it. Let's see you get into that octagon. Let's see what you got. Plus, I want to see what he's got. He's out there doing jiu-jitsu. Let's see. Can you win this shit? Can you win this match? What happens? And if you get choked out, I feel like he could get choked out and knocked out just somehow simultaneously. And then after the game, he'd be like, thank you for giving me such a great gift. That would be amazing. Things I would give players. I would give myself the gift of Jayson Tatum getting ready quicker after games. He usually takes like an hour after a game. He's doing recovery and shower and icing and all that stuff. So I don't think he's messing with us, but still would like him to come talk to us first before he does all that. So in the spirit of the holiday season, how about that for us? I would give Tatum the wherewithal to pass more often in the last minute of a game instead of going ISO as much. Jalen, I would give the gift of 85% free throw shooting. Who else is there? Porzingis, I would give the gift of turning down all the sliders on injuries for a season. Just, 2K style. Take those sliders, injuries off for him. What else? I think that's a good place to go with those guys. Al Horford, just like one of those like movie remote controls where he can pause the aging process, because I would like to keep Al Horford around as much as possible. Who else can I give? I would like to give Payton Pritchard the gift of 6 more inches of height, so he can be a legit all-star in consideration as an all. Just magically one night, boom, like he wakes up, like in the movie Big, where he says he goes to the machine. What is it, Zoltar? He just puts the quarter in. He's like, I wish I was big, and then he wakes up the next morning and he's like 6'7". Like, that would be amazing. And all of a sudden, can you imagine Payton Pritchard just walking in tomorrow at 6'7" with all the same skills? That would be incredible. And still under contract, by the way. All right, that's it. A couple more quick ones here. Billy says, how long have you and Tom Westerholm known each other? How did you and Tom become partners on Locked On Celtics? How did you meet? Very simple. He was at Mass Live as a beat writer, and I joined Mass Live in 2018. And we were just on the beat together. We coworkers, and we hit it off. Traveled together a lot, so we're on the road a lot. That was back when, pre-pandemic, when there was a lot of travel. So we'd be just in hotels, like West Coast trip. We're just hanging out in the Los Angeles hotel, talking and getting to know one another, and working together, and splitting up stories, and sitting next to each other at games and talking through, certain things. We just clicked, and he's a good dude. He's a really solid guy. So when I still do this podcast by myself very often, but I definitely am happy to have Tom here to join me on just to give the show like a little bit of a different feel every couple of days a week. So that's the story of me and Tom. He's a really good dude. I've got very lucky meeting him, and we've just become really good friends. And finally, Mike says, what's the process for the theme song? Did you just ask B and he gives you a finished product, or you give feedback with lyrics and mixing? So when I just gave him parameters, I said, the only current players you can mention, unless you do a new theme song every year, don't mention guys that can be traded because, and so there's that. I was like, please mention my name. It's my theme song. I would like my name mentioned. And then from there, like, you got to keep it to something like 45 seconds, because it's still, we can't have the theme song go on too long, but he takes it from there. That's it. He's just said, the Celtics won a championship, and so we needed a new one. And, he's busy. He has life and, work and other songs that he's doing and all of that. And so it didn't happen right away, but I just give him the parameters, and he takes it and runs with it. Him and his producer. And I don't like, he'll send me the like 90% finished product before they do the final mix, just to make sure I'm happy with it. And I've been happy with it. So yeah, does a great job. Be ever ready. Great job with the theme song. I've not given him, I don't think I've given him any notes. Why would I stand in the way of somebody else's creative process? Just mention my name. Just mention my name in the theme song. I am happy. Thanks for all the questions. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag is where you ask the questions. The only place to ask the questions. I'm not going to remember that they exist everywhere else. That's the only place. Easy for me to organize it there, and I need things to be easy. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Podcast all week long, Monday through Friday. If you're still here and you haven't subscribed, that means maybe you like the show and you will subscribe. So please do that. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Love to see the conversations. The Locked On Celtics YouTube page is a great place for Celtics fans to just talk to one another. So go do that, and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.